As a startup founder, you've got two levers. You're either shipping code or closing deals. Ship code, close deals. Those are the two levers that every startup founder has to obsess about. I obsess about it so much with the startup founders that I work with. I even got t-shirts made that says I either ship code or I close deals. That's how important it is. And those are the two most important levers that you have to operate to take your startup to product market fit, to the next stage of growth, to traction, to a working business model. Now, the problem is there are so many different components that go into building out your business model, building out your startup strategy. And it can be really, really hard to keep it all in your head, which is what we all tend to do. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through this thing called the Business Model Canvas. And the Business Model Canvas is an amazing tool that helps you codify your startup's growth strategy, your business model, into one simple page. I'm gonna walk you through it, and by the end of it, you will have a one-page strategy for your startup. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, author of the book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face, entrepreneur and angel investor. On this channel, I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and startup founders create and execute on an unstoppable strategy for their life and their business through belief and discipline. I drop a video every single Sunday with the TK energy, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you're not already a member of our Legion. Here's the thing, only 4% of startups graduate from the seed stage, 4%. I was astonished when I saw that number. It was on the TopTal blog, and they really backed it up with a lot of research and a lot of data. And we all know that startups are a really tough game. It's a very few that actually win. That's what drives us in a way. But it's kind of weird when you think of it as 4%, which means 96% of startups will never go past the seed stage. Which is why I always obsess about, well, how do you create a strategy that increases the likelihood of you actually graduating from the seed stage to get to product market fit, to get to traction, to get to the next stage of growth? Now, in order to do that, there are a lot of key components that come together to build out your startup strategy. And I talk about a lot of those things in this channel. But it's hard to keep all of that in your head, which is why I've always been a fan of creating a one-page strategy. Whether it was when I was starting one of my own startups, I've started two, I've co-founded one, I've founded one, I've sold both, or when I was SVP of strategy. Strategy was basically my role at Marketo, which we recently sold for $4.75 billion. In all of those scenarios, I was a big proponent of tethering ourselves to a written down one-page strategy. So by the end of this video, I'll walk you through these components, and by the end of it, you'll have a one-page strategy. If you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash the like button. It helps us out, means a lot to us. Let's get started. Now, here's the thing, let's get started. There's a lot of complicated words when it comes to this business model canvas. You have key partners, key activities, key resources, and I'm a big fan of being pragmatic, okay? And sometimes I see a lot of founders get enamored in the details of this thing, and they're not actually doing what's important. So what I like to always do is basically say, look, there's two very big zones in here. There's two important components. And I say this all the time to startup founders on this channel, in this video. You as a startup founder have these two levers. You're either shipping code or you're closing deals. Sure enough, that's how most of this breaks down as well. So if you really break this down, this half is all about shipping code. And if you look at this part, this is all about closing deals. So if you're ever feeling a little overwhelmed, you just first want to really understand, like, which part of the business am I really going to focus on right now? Or maybe I focus on one part and my co-founder focuses on another part, but really there are two parts, two levers, ship code and close deals. Those are the two most important things. Everything falls under those two. And depending on the stage that you're in your startup, your strategy should focus on one of those areas, because you may have a huge product but no customers. In this case, you've got to focus on closing deals. Or you may have a lot of customers but you're churning people, or they're not quite closing, or the win rates are low, in which case you have to focus on shipping code. So it's a symbiotic process, but largely these are the two big levers that you want to focus on, and I'm going to break these into two. Now, once you focus on, let's just start on this side here. I'm a big believer that you gotta start with the audience. You gotta start with the ideal customer. You gotta start with the group of people that you really want to serve. And hopefully you have a lot of domain knowledge in that group of people. The startups that are surely to fail are the ones that start with a feature and some crazy tech idea, but they have no idea who is actually going to use it. So I always like to start with over here, which is why I made this number one. What you want to focus on in terms of your strategy is really defining your customer relationships, your customer segments, and your channels. Now these are complicated words, but really what this is breaking down to is really codifying who are the people you're going to serve. Now the big component of this, the big document that you want to create out of this, the big thing that analysis that you want to do is basically your ideal customer profile. If you create an ideal customer profile, then you'll be able to summarize the key points around your customer segments, your customer relationship, and your key channels right over here. Now, I did 3 videos on how to create an ideal customer profile. They're slightly split up into key areas. The first one is how to actually understand what an ideal customer profile is. You can check that out here. The second one is about how to actually create an ideal customer profile. You can check that out here. And the third one is how to actually implement an ideal customer profile. Now here's the thing. Turns out I've created a video for almost every one of these boxes. So YouTube only lets me link with these little cards to like 3 videos. So here's what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna highlight the videos that I created. I'll link to them below. But more importantly, I've codified this template and I've linked to the specific videos in my startup strategy guide, which you can download at the end of this video. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. Let's keep going. The first part of this business model canvas is really about the customer, and that's where I always get people to start. So often people start with shipping features. Don't do that. Start with actual ideal customers so that you're shipping the right code. Once you do that, the next thing you really start to dig into is this guy right here, your value prop. What is your value proposition? What is the problem you're solving? What is the hook? How do you get people's attention? What are the big macro trends that are impacting this group of people that you're serving? And how do you actually solve their problem and charge them money? This 2 things really can be codified into your unstoppable sales funnel. If you've been following my channel for a while, I'm a big fan of building out an unstoppable sales funnel. And it really goes into how to codify your value propositions, your revenue streams, how to create that funnel of people so that you can target the people in your ideal customer profile, you can get them into your funnel, and then you know what kind of features to actually build to ship code. So this unstoppable sales funnel, I created a video that tells you exactly how to codify your value prop, the macro trends, hook into your ICP, run them through the process so you can have customer conversations and charge them money and understand how to build out your roadmap. So for these 2 boxes, which is your value prop and your revenue streams, be sure to check out this video, which will walk you through how to create an unstoppable sales funnel, which will then help you answer these 2 boxes. In case you haven't noticed, that covers nearly half of the business model canvas. When you build an ideal customer profile, and I teach you how to do that, you will be able to fill out these 3 boxes around your core strategic elements around who you're focusing on. When you start to build out your funnel, you'll be able to codify, well, what is your hook? What is the core problem you're solving? What is the solution? How do you charge money? So that takes care of half, which is the biggest lever that you have in your business, which is close deals. There's something different here. So before I go to the rest of this, let me just highlight 2 things. Number 1, the biggest thing you can do in a startup is increase the number of customer conversations. When you increase the number of customer conversations, you're able to operate those 2 levers that you have much better, because when you have a customer conversation, you will learn things. When you learn things, you can either ship better code, not necessarily features, or you can close deals because people will pay you money because you're solving a really important problem. Which is why I always say, before you write a line of code, focus on building your unstoppable sales funnel, focus on building your ideal customer profile so you can increase the number of customer conversations, and you can de-risk yourself and actually build the right features. You want to be part of that 4% that actually graduates to the next stage? Focus on the customer first. Now, the other thing is, I've only covered half of this, all right? If you don't write down a 1-page strategy for your startup, you can start to see how much you're really keeping in your head. I've been a startup founder, I've been head of strategy, and in both of those cases, it was astounding to me how much better it felt when I just got it on paper. And it can be really hard to get it all down on paper in an empty Google Doc or make the time for it or even justify to your executive team that this is valuable. But hopefully when you start to see that there's a framework that you can hook into and you can answer some of these critical things that you're keeping in your head and you're iterating on and you're slowly changing, you're trying to get everyone aligned on, you can start to see the value of actually creating a one-page strategy. So now, if you're starting to see that value, hit me with a yes in the comments below. I just want to hear from you. I want others to see that you're starting to see the value in creating a one-page strategy and how powerful it can be to increase the trajectory of your startup. So hit yes below in the comments, and let's keep going. The next thing that we're going to dig into is the key activities and the key resources. Now, most of the startup founders that I deal with, that I talk to, and probably you as well, build SaaS businesses. They build software businesses. So a lot of key activities and a lot of key resources are really around developers and cloud services. And those are the things that are the resources, and those are the things that are the activities. Like we ship code. That's what we do. We ship code, we solve problems that are aligned to our ideal customer and the unique value proposition we're bringing to the market. So when it really comes down to these two boxes, it really comes down to what is your product strategy. Now, luckily for you, and you guessed it, I created an entire video on going deep into your product strategy. There's three big things to strategy, right? There's market, there's go-to-market, and there's product. So check out this video where I go deep into actually, oh, I'm getting a text message. So be sure to check out this video where I go deep into how to actually codify your product strategy. Now, a little preview, I believe that every product strategy should track the number of clicks to the aha moment. You'll have to check out the video later. Don't go now because we have the rest of this to finish. You'll have to check it out because that really makes the biggest difference in getting to that product market fit. Now, as you fill out your product strategy, you've got your sales funnel that hooks in your ideal customers. So what you end up having is an audience that you build that enter into your sales funnel, that then use your product. And because you're having so many conversations with this group of people, you're then able to actually build the right product. As you start to do that, then you're gonna start to say, well, how do we go bigger? How do we actually get more strategic about how we play in this space? This is when this box comes in, which is your key partners. Now, when we're tiny, let's be honest, no one really wants to partner with us. No one's like, we're not big enough. However, there's incredible power in understanding which ecosystem you're in. There's incredible power in understanding which marketplaces that you can hook into. There's incredible power in identifying the bigger players in the space that you're in and starting to build relationships with them so that A, you can get access to their customers because they might be serving the same customer, or B, they might be potential acquirers. So for building out this key partners thing and really understanding what your ecosystem is, I did an entire video around your exit and ecosystem strategy. Now, you may never want to sell your company. That's fine. That's not what this video is about. You can check it out here. And that video will go into how to actually identify the right partners in your ecosystem, how to work with them, how to forge relationships. And maybe down the line, there's an exit strategy involved, but really it identifies how you actually play bigger using these people that are in your space, selling to the same customers. So once you've done that, you're left with this important, very important aspect, which is how do you fund the whole thing? How much does it cost? How do you make sure it's profitable? How do you make sure you really get to a business model where whatever the cost is, it's lower than whatever revenues you're bringing in? Now, a big part of this, if you're a startup, is most likely going to be funding. Because in the early days, you're raising money and losing money, and you're funding the R&D so you can get to a highly scalable, highly profitable business in a realistic term. That's the whole goal of a SaaS software business. You put in a bunch of money, you build R&D, and then you build this machine that just prints money after that. The biggest, most prominent thing that you really need to understand is what are your costs going to be, what is going to be needed to actually operate your startup, develop the software and sell it, and how much money will you have to raise to actually get to that critical mass. So you guessed it, I created a video for this as well. This is generally your fundraising strategy. Fundraising and operating model. Now, there's a bunch of things that goes into thinking through this one. So in order to summarize this in 3 or 4 bullet points, you're gonna have to think deeply about how much you're gonna raise, what do we need, what are the key blockers, and how big is the opportunity, how much money are you willing to raise, who's gonna fund it? There's a bunch of questions like that. And I answer all of that. You can check out this video, which teaches you how to create a 6-slide pitch deck and actually go through the fundraising process and think through the operating model and your TAM. When you do that, you're able to actually codify what this box should have, which is really what your costs are going to be and how much you're going to have to raise. So in summary, if we kind of like connect all of these, you start with who is your ideal customer. That's your customer relationship, your customer segments, your channels. Then you get into what is your value prop and what is your revenue stream and how do you actually attract these customers and get them into a conversation with you. That's your unstoppable sales funnel. Then you get into, well, what is your product strategy? How are you solving this problem with a solution? And I'll link to the product strategy video below. And then you get into what is your exit strategy and ecosystem strategy, so you have the right partners. And then you have your fundraising and operating model strategy, which is really how do you create a pitch deck that really thinks through what is all this gonna cost and how am I gonna get it from this stage to this stage to this stage and how big of an opportunity is this? Now you know how to create a one-page strategy for your startup. You should be realizing two things, hopefully. Number one, you're trying to keep this all in your head, and there's a distinct before and after in my life as a startup founder. The before was when I tried to keep all this in my head, trying to appear smart, and the after was when I really wrote it down and I really did the analysis, when I really got the strategy tight. Even down to when my sole job and my title was SVP of strategy, and I really had to think about this a lot. Everything changed when you actually take this seriously and write it down. And here's a framework that'll actually help you write it down. And the second thing hopefully you're starting to realize is there are a lot of moving pieces here. And all of them need to lock into place as much as possible for you to be one of those startups that's part of that 4% that graduates to the next stage of growth. Whether that be profitability, whether that be fundraising, whether that be product market fit, however you want to define it. So you hopefully are starting to see how important and powerful this is when you take the time to actually write it out. Now look, this is a YouTube video. It's probably like 20 minutes. I don't know how long it's gonna be. And I went through a lot and I linked to a lot of other videos. And you might be thinking, all right, TK, I clearly need to create a strategy. How do I create my one-page strategy? And there's a lot more thinking to be done. How do I, where do you start? This is why I created my 5-point, well, it's almost 6-point now, but really 5-point, startup strategy guide. The Startup Strategy Guide will walk you through a series of questions that you can answer, and it'll link you to all these videos that I talked about, and it'll include a template, this business model template, all in this one PDF. It's completely free that you can download following the link below. If you follow the link below, getunstoppable.com/strategy, or you can go there. You can download my guide and I'll help you pull all these resources together. And a Sunday afternoon, you can go and create your strategy. In addition to that, it will also give you a special opportunity to work directly with me or in a group setting. I have different offerings in there to actually codify your startup strategy. This is the kind of stuff that I absolutely love. I love creating an unstoppable strategy for businesses. And that's why I put so much effort in these videos. I just love this stuff, and hopefully you can start to see the value in it. So follow that link below and download the guide and you'll get all the details. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, I want you to feel empowered, because now when you hook into a framework, you can actually start to break these down into smaller pieces and really attack it with a vengeance, and then become unstoppable in your startup. So lastly, if you like this video, please smash the like button. It means a lot to us. Honestly, it does. If you know other startup founders that would get value from this, please share it with them. If you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group, an email list, please share this. Please tweet out this video, even if it's just like, here's an awesome video on how to grow your startup by tweet. There's my Twitter handle. That would be amazing too. There's a tweet to click link down below. Just share it. It just means a lot to us because we really want to get the word out on this content that I'm creating with my team. And lastly, I drop a video like this every single Sunday. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified every single time I drop a video. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. But when you are with us, your strategy is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you next Sunday.